Tonight, I would like to discuss very complicating subjects which many people cannot understand. Because of this, people create the wrong concept and lose interest or faith in religion. There are 4 items for me to discuss. Hear what the Buddha says. There are some people who commit evil or bad karma. As a result of their evil deeds, they will be born in hell or in a suffering state for what they have done. At the same time, there are some people who commit evil or bad karmas. After their death, they will be born in heaven to experience pleasure. Again, those who keep away from evil deeds or bad karmas also will be born in hell. At the same time, those who keep away from evil deeds or bad karmas will be born in hell. These are the 4 items. Very complicating, isn't it? Why it is difficult for some people to understand this? Because some people have no idea about their previous existence, previous life, what they have done, what sort of karmas they have committed or accumulated. If we can understand this, this is not a problem. We can understand this very easily. Now let us take the first item, that is easy. Those who have committed evil deed intentionally. Intentionally means by thinking that they want to do this. That is intentionally. Because we do a lot of bad things unintentionally, without creating such ideas that we want to create, accidentally. Then what will happen? These kind of things, although we have regarded as bad deeds or immoral things, we cannot accommodate into these categories of bad karmas introduced by the Buddha. Because we commit bad karmas by using our mind. Body can create certain bad things without thinking, as habits or accidentally. Since mind has no connection directly toward this action, bad action, cannot create the bad karma. Yet, we had to face the consequences or the bad effect within this life or immediately. Then why we cannot accommodate this as bad karma taught by the Buddha? The difference is the karma committed intentionally follow us life after life. But this kind of karma that we have committed, action we have committed accidentally, cannot follow us. If there is any bad effect, we have to face within this life. After that there is nothing. Now it is clear. So whatever bad deeds we have done intentionally, then there is another problem. Some people commit evil deeds not knowing that it is bad, not knowing that it is a bad karma. To them there is no excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse. Those who are ignorant have to pay more, according to the Buddha. Therefore you cannot say, oh, I never knew that it is wrong or it is bad. Example, when you drive your motor car, there are certain rules, regulations you have to follow. You violate one of them due to your ignorance. When you are caught, you can say, I am sorry, I do not know. I am ignorant. I think the government punish you more for driving motor car, not knowing, without learning rules and regulations. Exactly like this. So you should not say, I am sorry, I am ignorant, I never knew that it is bad. In our Buddhist book, another example is given. A burning iron plate, very hot. We ask a child to come and touch this. This child does not know that it is dangerous. So that child come and touch and burns. At the same time, we ask one of you to come and touch this one. Then you say, yes, touch. You knew how to escape. Also, whatever bad deeds we have committed because of our ignorance, we have to pay more. Just like the child had to pay more. You get more burning. Now this is the example. Therefore don't try to justify, I never knew, I am ignorant. It is your duty to know. Otherwise nobody wants to learn anything. Very easy to say, oh, we do not know. The purpose of your learning is to escape, to avoid, not to do such things. Occasionally, due to certain circumstances, assume you had to commit certain things. You know it is wrong, such as killing, or stealing, or drinking, or telling lies. You know it is wrong. But you had to do that. Although you do not agree, circumstances force you to do that. So you commit. The reaction that you gain, and the ignorant man who has committed the same thing, differ. Because ignorance aggravates the situation. And if chances are there, you are willing to avoid that. That is your idea. Unwillingly or reluctantly, you might have done that. At the same time, after committing that, you never try to justify. There is nothing wrong. That is a wrong attitude, because you mislead others. If you say, yes, I knew it is wrong, but I had to do that, then others also come to know that it is wrong. And this is the difference. So, those who have committed evil deeds, we do not regard them as sin. We don't use the word sin. When we define the word sin, so interpretation gives this meaning. Those who violate the religious laws or the commandments given by the God commit sins. In that sense, we do not use the word sin. So we always use the word evil deeds or bad action or bad karma. Where we can find the whole mankind without any controversy accepted that these things are wrong. No argument. Now when you study the precept, commandment and religious laws introduced by different religions, you can see the same basic principles, although they use different language, like killing, stealing, committing adultery or sexual misconduct, telling lies, and drinks. Also, some others do not agree fully, but they too can understand that it is wrong. They do not encourage. Now we take Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism and many other isms, accepting religion. Same principles they try to uphold. Now the difference is this. Others try to introduce these religious commandment or principle as religious laws given by the God. Buddhism never says like this. Given by the God. Human beings can understand this. They know that they are doing wrong thing. Due to their ignorance, temptation, anger, they commit certain bad deeds. Therefore, the Buddha has pointed out these are existing universal laws, not created by anybody, accepted by the mankind. Now this is called dharma. Just now I mentioned those who have committed bad deeds or bad karmas will be born in hell. Now this word is very interesting word, hell. In the Buddha's language, you can find few words. Apayang, Nirayang, Duggating. Now these are the words. Where living beings experience more physical and mental suffering and pain than in any other planes of existence. That particular area or existence is called hell. Now what is the difference between the suffering that we experience as human beings and animals and other living beings and those who suffer more than that? In our life, although we suffer, we have an interval to relax, to laugh, but in certain places of existence, they have no interval. From the very beginning of that life up to the end, only suffering, nothing but suffering. Now that is called hell. Then where this hell is located? That is why I told you this is very interesting. In Majjhima Nikaya Sutra Pitaka, there is a beautiful saying of the Buddha. I don't think there is any other religious teachers in this world who has given such interpretation about hell. All of them says hell is located under this earth. That's all. In the Buddha's teaching, he says, only foolish people think this hell is under this earth or under that great ocean or somewhere else, located as a separate place. He used this word. That means he has completely rejected the belief that others maintain that hell is located under this earth. Then what is the Buddhist concept of hell? Are we going to tell there is no hell? No. Not only one. To others there is only one. To us there are so many. Just now I mentioned the definitions of hell we analyze and define according to our feeling. How we suffer, either as human beings or animals or ghosts or devils or spirits or any other forms of living beings. Where there are more sufferings, that is the meaning of hell. Hell is not created by anybody. It is not located anywhere in this universe. Therefore, hells you can find all over the universe, where living beings suffer because of their bad deeds. This is the Buddhist concept of hell. So the first item is those who have committed bad deeds, definitely whatever religions they have, whether they have religions or not, whether they believe this or not, they have to face the consequences because they have violated existing universal law. No one can escape from the bad effect. It is not a punishment. We cannot use the word punishment. That is the bad effect we have to face. So after committing, you can go and worship and pray and ask the Buddha, God, Bodhisattvas any other supernatural living beings to take away your sins, wash away your sins. According to the Buddha, it is impossible. There is nobody in this universe who can take away your sins committed by you. That is Buddhism. People don't like Buddhism because of this. They want to commit evil and somebody else to come and wash away the sin. They like this kind of religions. Now nice. We can do anything whatever we like because there is somebody who can take away our sins so that we can go to heaven and enjoy. Think for a while. Use your common sense. Then that is the purpose of learning. We try to understand, try to train ourselves not to commit such evil as human beings. We disgrace our human dignity. We are supposed to be the most cultured, civilized, religious, educated, understanding, living beings in this universe. Now how can we say we are higher than others if we commit all sort of bad and wicked and cruel and immoral things, worse than animals? In fact, human life or human beings are the most dangerous living beings in this world. Other living beings are not that bad. We can understand. All the other living beings disturb or kill only certain living beings, but not all. Animals. Now you are scared of devils and ghosts and spirit. You believe that they come and disturb you. It is due to a weakness in your mind you maintain this belief. When that unnecessary fear is no more in your mind, that belief in ghosts and devils and spirit disappears. As long as you maintain this fear, you create this devil, this concept, this belief, then you suffer. So the devils also do not harm us so much. But we human beings destroy every living being on this earth. See how clever we are. For our living, for our pleasure, for our protection, for our food, for our enjoyment, as games. Human beings are the only living beings who destroy others' life as game. Fishing and hunting, just kill them and throw away. That is called game. Are we going to accommodate us as cultured and civilized people? In fact, one day, if all those living beings come to know, can understand, can do something, they will wipe out the whole mankind from this earth. And they are the one who disturb the whole globe, whole universe, atmosphere, the water, air, but not other living beings. So, how can you escape from the bad effect? By praying and worshipping and offerings and burning and this and that. Here, those who have committed such bad deeds had to suffer physically and mentally in any forms, either as human beings or animals or spirits or some other forms of living being. But that suffering is not everlasting or eternal. This is another thing. Because some other religions preach those who are born in hell have to suffer forever, no end. Why it is like that? Due to our ignorance, we make mistake. We commit evil things. And why should we suffer forever? There must be a limited period for the punishment. That is what many intellectuals argue. Say even thousands of years or millions of years, there must be an end to it. Eternal suffering. So Buddhism completely rejects this belief. There is no such thing as eternal suffering. Some people suffer only for a few days. Then from there another rebirth takes place. Some other few months or few years or few hundreds or few thousands. This is another difference. So definitely we have to face the bad effect. There is no argument. Then the next item is the biggest problem. What is that? Those who have committed bad karmas or bad deeds will be born in heaven. This is a big problem to you, isn't it? Why it is a big problem? Because you never consider or you have no knowledge to understand what you have done during your previous birth. What sort of good karmas you have done, although you have committed bad deeds within this lifetime. Then what will happen? In our storehouse of consciousness, all our good and bad karma or karmic effects, karmic energies are deposited. So when we are going to die, at the last moment, this storehouse of consciousness start to work, project. Because senses are not working with the mind. Normal mind is in passive stage, inactive. Then we say unconscious. But the subconscious mind is active there. We do not know that. Because we cannot see what is happening inside. All the activities accumulated in that storehouse of consciousness, not only within this life, during one of our previous births, all are mixed up there. So nobody knows what kind of karmic thought appear at the dying moment. Although there are many bad karmic deeds, we may get the chance to hold on one of those good karmic thoughts that we have deposited in the mind. Now then, if that person dies while holding that karmic thoughts in the mind, he never goes to hell. He never becomes an animal. Either he become a very fortunate human being, if not, will be born in heaven. Then, can this person wipe out, or can he escape from all the bad deeds that he has committed? No. Remains. Remain in the waiting list. They are in that particular birth. This person experienced very peaceful, pleasurable life because of that particular karma. There will be an end to it. Maybe 100 years or 200-300. Then what will happen to this person after his or her death again? There, within that lifetime, if that person has not accumulated enough good merits to proceed that way of life, then those karmas in the waiting list come forward to welcome. Then another rebirth takes place according to one of those karmas in the waiting list in that subconscious mind. I think now it is not very difficult for you to understand. So that means, although we have done certain bad deeds, still we have chances to do more and more good deeds or more good karmas later. Again we can overcome the effect of bad karmas and can have better rebirth from there. But all those karmas remains. These karmas remains in our subconscious mind, follow us just like shadow wherever we go. There is no limited period for it. This you can understand when you study the life of the Buddha. Nobody knows how many thousands or how many millions of years ago, during some of his previous births, certain bad karmas that he has committed were hidden. For the rest he had paid on the way. And those hidden bad karmas affected him during the final birth as Buddha. That means he is also not free from the karmic effects. Although he has not committed any bad karmas after becoming an enlightened one or the Buddha, then he will be free. No more suffering for him. What about us? We have so much karmic seeds in our subconscious mind. We do not know. If we can remember our previous birth, then we can understand what we have done. Recently, Mr. Palm has given a newspaper. There's a big news item there. In Germany, they have discovered a machine fixed the head to create vibration to the brain to recall, to bring back the lost memories. A lady has explained 30 previous births, where she was born, what she has done, and languages she used during her previous birth, then started to use the same languages, Russian, German, and all those languages. That means, without depending on any religion, today people have discovered many things to find out. This is the first time we heard about 30 previous births. Earlier there was another lady in Australia who remembers 7 previous births. All the details that she has given was correct. The names and informations when they are investigated. We have this memory covered. If you can cleanse our mind from all this rubbish that we are accumulating, then we also get back the memories, the knowledge, languages. We can understand what we have done. When the sufferings and problems and troubles come to us, then we can find out what is the cause. When the Buddha was there, he explained to all his devotees and disciples what they have done, what sort of good karmas or bad karmas they have committed during one of their previous births. So, now I think it is not very difficult for you to understand. Although we have committed certain bad deeds, at the dying moment, if we had the chance to recall one of our good karmic thoughts, but we cannot recall purposely. It is natural. Because senses and the normal mind is not functioning. You have to depend on subconscious mind, so which that subconscious mind projects, we have to hope. Therefore, purposely we cannot create. Otherwise, you can think, why worry? We can do whatever we like. At the same time, we also do a little bit of good karmas. At the dying moment, I remember this. It doesn't work in that way. Purposely, you cannot create that. You have to influence your mind if you really want to get it at the last moment. How to influence? I can tell you the technique. Whatever you do in your day-to-day life as your habits, any good deeds. Take for instance, early morning or evening, you make a habit to go and pay respect or do some offering or recite something or a little bit of meditation, and this will become your habit every day. Later, it is not necessary for you to force yourself to do that. Naturally, you go there. This kind of things as habitual karma. We practice as our habits. Get the chance to appear at the dying moment because mind is used to it. We have been using our mind for that thousands and thousands of times. And butchers in the slaughterhouse, there were evidence even during the Buddha's time. At the dying moment also, you get the same picture, slaughtering animals. Because his mind is working only to this track. And those who have done some good karmas or religious activities also get experience or the vision or recall easily. Otherwise, purposely we cannot create. So that is the interpretation. Although we have committed bad karma, without asking forgiveness from the Buddha or God or any other supernatural living beings, by using our own karma, we will be able to overcome or suspend for the time being to have a better rebirth. Then we can continue again and again by doing more and more good deeds. In the end, you can reach your final goal or salvation. The bad karmas had no chance to affect you. You know what happened to murderer Angulimala? There were hundreds of cases. Although they have done such bad deeds, they had the chance to lead a noble life, religious life after that, by cultivating more and more good karmas, and also using certain many other good karmas that they have done during their previous birth. So they had the chance to overcome and continue, find out their final salvation. Now the next two is easy. Those who have done good karmas will be born in heaven. Those who have done bad karmas will be born in hell. But interruption take place. How these interruption take place? We divide all these karmas into different groups according to our mental attitude at that time when we commit these deeds. The karma formation take place according to our way of thinking, mental attitude. Then we experience the effects of these karmas in different ways. One particular karma is called destructive karma. When we enjoy very nice, peaceful, happy life, suddenly, like thunder or lightning, certain misfortune happen, destroy everything. But we do not know. That is one of the karmas to interrupt, to disturb the good effect of our karma. This karma is the most delicate, difficult subject for us to gain the clear vision or understanding. There are four things that we never gain clear understanding. We can understand little bit by using our normal mind. What are those four? The nature of the Buddha's enlightenment. The other day I have explained. We create our own imagination about the Buddha, but we do not know actually who the Buddha is. simply by thinking, we cannot understand. Just now I told you the reason. The reason is our mental attitudes. Example, all of us jointly do some bad deeds or bad karma. So each and every person has contributed something to do that bad deeds. But we have done the same thing, same action. But when we are going to face the consequences of these bad deeds, example, all of us jointly do some bad deeds or bad karma. So each and every person has contributed something to do that bad deeds. But we have done the same thing, same action. But when we are going to face the consequences of these bad deeds, each and every person experience different kind of karmic effect, not equally. Can you understand? But we have done the same bad deed jointly, together. The bad effect come to us in different ways. Then, just now I told you, our mental attitudes. One person contributed something because of his or her anger. Another person contributed something because of fear. Another person contributed something because of suspicion. Another person has done something because of her protection or precaution. Another person has done something to take revenge. Another person simply follow and join with others. Now you can see different mentalities. So the reactions or the bad effect come to us in different ways. How we use our mind at that time to commit this particular evil deed. And the good karma also like that. Now when you do some meritorious deeds, you have different mentality. Some of you may perform your religious meritorious deeds thinking you may get the chance to be born in a very rich family to enjoy your life. Yes, it is natural. Some others think, by the virtues of these merits, may I get the chance to go to heaven and enjoy my life. Some others think, it is our duty to contribute or participate in these religious activities. Therefore, we also come and join. Some others think we must contribute something for the benefit of others to release their suffering. Do some service to others. Some others come and do certain good deeds to show others. They want to see their names for the name's sake. Some others just to please others. Some of their friends approach, why not you also come and join? If he says no, sorry, he feels very bad. Just to please them, they also come and join it. See the differences now? So when they are going to experience good results, they get different kind of result. Therefore, if you are going to do some good deeds or meritorious deeds, there are three things we have to cultivate. First thing, you have to reduce your craving, selfishness, your anger or ill will or grudge, and your misunderstanding or ignorance. Reduce these three evil forces from the mind, if you really want to experience the good result. Then the materials that you use to do this service, either money or food or anything, must be pure. Because you can earn by bluffing, swindling, cheating, stealing, torturing, disturbing others. If you earn this money by disturbing others to do meritorious deeds, you won't get the full result. Because there is no purity in the material. Third one. To whom are you going to serve, support, assist? They must be deserving persons. If they are religious people, they must have some sort of virtues, good qualities. Religious values must be there in them. Then you get the good result. Remember these three. Purity in your mind, purity in your materials, purity in those who receive your gift, your food, your assistance, your support. If all these good qualities are not there, you get very poor results. These kind of karmas are very vague, very weak. Then other strong karmas come and topple them. Either good karma or bad karma. At the same time, just now I told you, sometimes we do certain things which we know they are bad, but reluctantly. Our mind and heart never agree fully. Certain circumstances influence us, either for our precautions or protection, or to support others, or to protect others. Different motive. But at that time we did not develop cruelty, anger, ill will, hatred, or selfishness also. We did not develop. Then the effect of that bad karma also cannot become very strong. Because we have not polluted our mind, or we did not damage our mind to commit that deed. If you develop all these evil forces in your mind to commit any bad thing, then you aggravate, you increase so many degrees in your bad karma. And the good karma also the same. When you develop your faith, devotion, confidence, understanding, purity, then more good result you can experience. This is the nature of karma. So just now I told you, two things are very difficult to understand: the nature of the Buddha's enlightenment and the nature of karmic effect. How we experience this karmic effect. Third one is loka, or living beings. So when we survey, study different forms of living beings, different creatures, different forms, different colors, very funny shape, birds and animals and fish and Human beings, ghosts and devil, of course, we have never seen them. We create our own image in our mind, different form. Why? What is the reason? Again, the formations of this world system, universes, suns and the moons and galaxies and stars, of course, easiest way to think God created, that's all. You have no right to ask why. God created. It is up to Him. But there are many who cannot satisfy with that. Do you want to know why? We go on studying and studying and studying science and technology and various modern subjects, discovered many things which religious people also could not understand. Many things what they have recorded in their religious books are wrong, my dear friend. You can see in many Buddhist books, all rubbish, written about the world systems and this and that, because they are not the teaching of the Buddha. Later, many hundred years after the Buddha, these disciples have recorded these things according to the existing belief at that time. Modern science and technology discovered many things, cannot agree with these things. Are we going to reject these modern discoveries? Cannot. In every religious holy book you can find this kind of thing which they have recorded earlier. Primitive people's belief are there. Scientific discoveries completely rejected many of these things. But remember, if you study the teaching, the basic teachings of the Buddha, not Buddhism. In Buddhism you can find a lot of rubbish written by many of these disciples. In the teachings of the Buddha, can you find out one word uttered by the Buddha which cannot agree with modern scientific discovery? Try to find out. That is why intellectuals respect this religion. So, the Buddha's advice is, the formations of world systems, the formations of living beings in different forms take place due to so many causes, so many reasons, so many factors, so many energies. You should not bother about this. You do your work. This is the advice given by Charles Darwin tried to find out the beginning of human life. He started from amoeba and found out lot of fossils and here and there. He discovered only one thing. What is that? Elemental evolution. How changes, evolutions have taken place from time to time. He is right. But he discovered only that. But he had no knowledge to understand how mental evolution, mental process develop for the formations of different shape of living beings. That answer we can find in the Buddha's teaching. Both are equally important, elemental and mental process. Life process, mental process. Both are proceeding. Then changes take place. And the last one is jhana. Jhana, some sort of absorption. That means some sort of supernatural power, miraculous power that people gain through their meditation. This method is called samatha meditation, jhana meditation. This kind of meditation was very common in India at that time. The Buddha also learned this earlier. But he found out something is missing there. In samatha, we can find, by practicing this method, we learn how to calm our mind, how to tame our mind, how to control our mind, how to make use of this mind to do wonderful things. Certain supernatural things. But this samatha meditation cannot completely purify the human mind. Therefore he has discovered the vipassana meditation, realization, to eradicate, uproot all the evil forces which still remains in the mind. Through samatha we have trained and calmed and developed the mind. It's very important. If you stop, what will happen? All the submerge, or the evil thought that we have subdued, again get the chance to come up. Then misuse the supernatural power or jhanic power that they gained. There were many incidents who have misused. Many of those religious groups in India, not only Buddhists, Hindus, Brahmins, Jainas, Niganthas, Paribrajakas, different religious groups, they have developed this meditation. The Buddha is the only one who introduced this deep concentration for us to analyze things, to understand what it is. And then mental purification takes place. So when they perform certain supernatural powers through their jhana meditation, others cannot understand what sort of mental power they use. Now these are the four things that the Buddha has said. Throughout our life we study, but still we never get the clear picture, little bit of knowledge. So this karmic effect, just now I explained, you can see how one particular karma can topple another one, and another karma can overcome the existing one. While we are experiencing good result, another bad karma come and affect and change our way of life. While we are suffering due to certain karmas, another good karmas come and topple the bad karma. Again we get the chance to get up. This is the nature of our life. Yes, because we cannot understand all these things, we blame others, we blame devil, we blame God, we blame these things. Our own karmas are working. If we can understand this, we can avoid so many misunderstandings, and we know how to adjust our way of life. We know how to overcome our shortcomings to maintain peaceful, happy, religious life. Thank you. Akasattha Bhummetta Devanaga Mahidrika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Lokasasanang Ittavata Chamhehi Sampatang Punya Sampadang Sabbe Deva Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Devo Asatu Kalena Sassa Sampatti Hetuche Vito Bhautalo Koche Raja Bhautu Dhammiko Idangho Jnati Nanghotu Sukita Huntu Jnatayo Imina Punya Kammena Mame Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yava Nibbana Pattiya